Well, hello and good day to all of you wonderful viewers out there. Hi, I'm Awesome Joe, and thank you guys so much for taking in the time of your day to watching another episode of Awesome Joe's Playback-to-Back movie reviews. And we're actually going to be putting use of the name of my videos into good use, since it's called Playback-to-Back. So what we're going to be doing, since during this special occasion, today is officially it's May 15th, 2021, and today is my 34th birthday. Thank you for the applause. This video is more like a traditional video, because every single one of my birthdays, every single year, I go ahead and rate a top 10 list of my specific favorite genres. So I know I did several others in the past, like my favorite villain, my top 10 favorite movies of all time. I remember last year I did my top 10 favorite movies of the 80s. So what we're going to be doing today is, it's 20 years ago, 2001. That year is very special to me. That year is the year when my whole life of movies started. I mean, movies have been my entire life, but 2001 was the year that completely opened my eyes and visualized the world of movies to adapt and to acknowledge the very magic of what movies are all about. So 2001 was the year, and I figured that I should go ahead and celebrate that along with my birthday. So here's the top 10 list that I would love to discuss with you in just a moment. And you guys are wondering also, is what am I wearing too? Well, these are my official uniforms that I just got the other day from my new job. And I was under the debation as to whether or not I should do this video or not, because of the fact that this job really takes a lot out of me, a lot of energy, a lot of strength. And I mean, this is my first video while having this job for quite a long time now. And now that I have it, I was debating as to whether or not I should do it, since I'm just so tired all the time now. So, but I went ahead and just said, you know what, let's just go ahead and do it. So here we are. I wanted to put this on just to show how awesome it looks on me. I work for the city and for the gas department, and I mean, I don't mind sharing that out there. It's not really a big deal. Is it a good job? It's a good job. Do I like it? No, I don't. I don't like it at all, but it's a job, and I'm not a quitter, and I'm gonna keep on going with it, because that's just who I am. Work is work. We all need to work. We all need to pay those bills and buy them bread and butter, bread and water. So let's go ahead and do this, you guys. I'm really excited to talk about this, because like I said, I love to talk about movies, and especially within the favorite year, one of my most personal favorite years that I love to discuss with you guys. 20 years later, 2001, my top 10 list. Here we go. Now, most people wouldn't be too familiar with this movie, but at number 10, I'm giving it over to Serendipity. This one has Kate Beckinsale and John Cusack in the movie, and this movie was first released back in October 5th, 2001, and the Rotten Tomatoes giving it a 58%. I find that as a really high percentage due to a movie that's not very familiar to most audiences and critics, so I find that 58% is a really high number. I really do admire this love story. This love story is just about, long story short, these two individual strangers who meet, who find an attraction to each other, who get to know each other, but because they are torn apart by fate, years later they are haunted by the fact that what would have been. So, and they really had that really good connection with each other. So they are on that search, following those breadcrumbs into finding each other. And I find it to being a very romantic movie. And it's one of my personal favorites. It's through Miramax Films, and they even through Miramax at the time, they did another movie in relations to this film with Lance Bass from, what is it, Backstreet Boys, or I don't know, I can't remember, one of the two, called On the Line with Emmanuel Shrieky. Yeah, they had a lot of similarities, but Serendipity was my most personal favorite. I really did love it. For me, it gives a true definition of what I remembered back in 2001. Great movie. I remember getting it on video cassette, and now I have it on DVD, and so whenever it does pop up on TV, I always get the chance to go ahead and watch it. I know it's on HBO Max right now, so if you guys have not watched Serendipity, go and check it out. I really do guarantee to you guys that you will not be disappointed. It's a really great movie. If you're into chick flicks, I mean, I'm not really into chick flicks, but this is a really good movie. If you're really into these sort of films, I highly recommend it, and check it out if you haven't watched it, and you're gonna have a good time. It's a good movie. So now since that's my number 10, these are gonna go very fast. So here we go. We're gonna go ahead and jump on to number 9. Going off next at number 9 is Rat Race. I know that this is actually a remake. I don't remember when or where the original first popped up, but when I saw the trailer for this, I said, bravo. I really did like this idea and how they were putting it into development. I really did admire how comedic the movie film was. I remember so many laughs that I had throughout this movie, and I find it to being also part of my great 2001 movie experience. The movie was released back in July 30th, 2001, and on Rotten Tomatoes it gave it a 44%. I mean, you got an all-star cast here, you guys. I mean, you got John Cleese, Whoopi Goldberg, Seth Green, John Lithgow. There's just so many off the bat. Cuba Gooding Jr., Wayne Knight. I mean, wow. There's a lot of good actors in this movie, and just having them all come together, I mean, it was a great movie comedic experience that I really did admire so much. You get all like in Serendipity, these individual strangers, they all come together in Las Vegas. They are a selected few, and they are on this race to go and collect that $2 million at a train station in Silver Hills, New Mexico. So it's a great movie. I mean, I just have so much fun with this movie, and I can never get enough of it. I also had it on VHS and on DVD. I think it's on Amazon Prime Video from the last time I saw it. So it's out there, you guys. If you haven't watched it, all these movies I really do recommend. Go ahead and check it out if you haven't watched it. It's 20 years ago. There's not really much that I could not spoil. I mean, it's already been out there. If you haven't watched it, then you guys have been warned. But yeah, that's my number 9. So let's go ahead and go off to number 8. This is a really good one. Shrek. Shrek is at my number 8. Came out in April 22nd, 2001. It's so cool how it's just saying 2001. It's like you would think 2001 and the current year that we're at 2021, 20 years later. Man, that's amazing. But yeah, April 22nd, 2001, and great percentage on Rotten Tomatoes, giving it an 88%. Of course it is. It developed a franchise. We got 4 different movies here, and along with the separate story, Puss in Boots. I mean, and they even have all these miniature movies out there as well. So it was a really great startup with the animated features that we get that's within the same studios of DreamWorks, which is now owned by 20th Century Fox, which is by Disney now. So, a lot of stuff has changed. Great thing that I remember about this movie is the fact that this movie, I was in high school at the time. And every single time when it was raining outside, or there wasn't really any curricular activities that are needed for us to accomplish in that certain day in class, they would either play what's that one called with Denzel Washington? Remember the Titans or Shrek? It was one of the two. So every time when the teacher would say, "Oh yeah, we're gonna watch a movie today," and we're like, "Well, what movie are we watching?" Shrek. And I was like, "Oh, okay, here we go again." We've like seen this movie like 20, 30 times already. So almost in every single class that we've been in. So so apparently, yeah, they had a lot of copies of Shrek, and it was a good movie. Even on VHS, it wasn't the actual size. They actually had to extend it because the lengthness was just so huge. So I remember that very much. I never had it on a VHS, but I did have it on DVD, and it's always out on cable, and I'm pretty sure out on streaming services as well. So, you got Mike Myers, man. He's an awesome guy. Cameron Diaz, John Lithgow, Eddie Murphy. I mean, Eddie Murphy, man, so cool. He is a pure definition of the Shrek franchise, and all the other movies were so great. I mean, not as great as this one, but it was a great set of films. So Shrek at my number 8, you guys. I know everybody's seen this. I mean, who has not watched Shrek? So yeah, let's go ahead and jump on to my number 7. Who would believe that 20 years later we would get the 9th movie from this franchise? At number 7, we are getting The Fast and the Furious. Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, I mean, they're great team-up actors that really do good in the movie. They really do work well with each other. It was a movie that really started up a huge franchise that really identified this group of people not only becoming just fellow co-workers but also a family on screen and off screen. So it was really great getting to see this movie. I didn't even know what I was getting myself into when I first watched this. I never watched it in theaters, but I know that I did watch it with family members at the time, and like I said, not knowing what I was getting myself into, but it was a phenomenal film. I really did love on how this film developed the very natural stasis of what street racing movies were actually all about. And I know that they tried to do some other fellow adaptations, like Rollerball or that other one with that guy from Breaking Bad. But it was. The only thing Need for Speed. I think it was called Need for Speed. Yeah, and but The Fast and the Furious is a movie that also identifies what 2001 meant for me so much. Great team, great set of actors, great crew, and I know that it was a good movie, a very small film though, but I'm glad that they went ahead and did several sequels. Like Too Fast, Too Furious is not a good movie. But I still watched it anyways. It's a great addition, but it's not the best. It's not a movie that you would find it being a good follow-up to this film. But who would have thought? I mean, we got 9 to 10 movies already, and it's just so awesome. The movie came out in June 22nd, 2001. And yeah, they gave it a 53%. Not bad. I thought it was going to be a little bit lower, but I find that 53% is a very suitable rating for that movie. But great film. Had a blast with it. I mean, who hasn't watched The Fast and the Furious now? If they haven't, I mean, it's highly impossible knowing that we're already approaching the 9th movie after 20 years. So much is going on with that franchise, and it is coming to an end very soon. From what I heard, they got 2 more movies, and they're pretty much done there. So number 7, the Fast and the Furious. I get Fast and Furious, which is the 4th film, and The Fast and the Furious, the 1st film, always mixed up. But it's The Fast and the Furious at number 7. So now let's go ahead and jump on to number 6. You knew I had to throw this into the list because, yeah, this is a movie that, because I'm actually watching this right now on HBO Max. I saw the first film. Man, did I have a lot of laughs with that one. And, I mean, why wouldn't you make a sequel after the first film? I mean, Rush Hour 2, man. You got Vin Diesel and Paul Walker working together, but then you also have Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker together, and you know, they're in 3 films together. They're more than just they're more than just friends. They are more than just co-workers, partners. They are legitimately brothers, and they have one hell of a good time in this movie. They had a great time in the first film, and it's so good that they wanted to do more, which is what brought us into Rush Hour 2. Rush Hour 3, that came out in 2007. I mean, people were asking for it because they loved so much of the second film that Rush Hour 3 was just trying to be just like what Rush Hour 2 was. So, but I think that they should have done something completely different and try, instead of being just another Rush Hour 2. But Rush Hour 2 is a unique masterpiece. I really did have a lot of fun with this. I mean, I do remember watching it in theaters and how much it was, how amazing myself and all of the audiences were just having a huge laugh with these two together. But it was a great film. Rush Hour 2 came out in August 3rd, 2001 at a 52% on Rotten Tomatoes, so great percentages. I think it should have been a little bit higher, but 52%, okay, that's fine with me. But great movie. I had a great time with this. I was, in a way, I really do wish that they would, redeem themselves in a Rush Hour 4, but I know that these actors have gotten older. I really don't want to see a passing of the torch film. I hope that they don't do that if they were to ever do a Rush Hour 4, but out of the 3, I would have to say Rush Hour 2 is my most personal favorite. I really did have a blast with it. And it's just a great set of films, and it's just amazing how things keep up to date after 20 years. So number 6, Rush Hour 2, you guys. Now let's go ahead and talk about number 5. At number 5, we're talking about Jurassic Park 3. Now, we got Jurassic World that came out in 2015, and then we got Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom that came out in 2018. And Jurassic Park 3 came out in July 16th, 2001. I mean, that's like a 14-year gap between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World. I mean, it took them a long while to get the Jurassic series back on track here, but it's because Jurassic Park 3 wasn't really favored by so many. This one was not a Steven Spielberg film. It was given over to Joe Johnston, who was actually a good director. He did, like Captain America, The First Avenger, The Rocketeer, and so many other great movies. But giving him this movie, I find that the story is very cheap compared to the first 2 films. I think The Lost World is my personal favorite out of the 3. But I find that Jurassic Park 3 is something different. So I give them credits for that, for making something different. But like I said, the story is cheap. It doesn't really adapt to these movies. It's just its own personal film. And it feels more like a roller coaster ride. I've never went on the ride at Universal Studios theme park, but I find that it is very entertaining. It's a hell of a time, and I think that it's in good relations to what Jurassic Park 3 is all about. It's just this huge roller coaster movie, and you just have a lot of fun just running away from dinosaurs, hiding from them, just watching these dinosaurs in action. I mean, it was a great film in a certain point of view. I'm gonna go Star Wars here, in a certain point of view. But the only thing that brought people to getting to watching this movie is of course, in fact, Sam Neill coming back as Dr. Alan Grant, who did not come back in the sequel. Instead, we got Jeff Goldblum instead. Didn't have a problem with that, but I really would have loved to see more of Alan Grant, and we do in this movie. His story did not come out in the way that people who were fans of these movies had anticipated. They really find that he is a character who deserved more, and giving him this side was not very favorable. But of course, he's coming back along with Laura Dern and Jeff Goldblum in the next Jurassic World movie, Dominion. I think that's what it's called, Dominion, which is coming out, I think, next year. But Jurassic Park 3, I mean, you even get a T-Rex for only just several seconds here, going up against the Spinosaurus, who is the you know, the marketing to this film. You know, you don't have the T-Rex. In the first movie, you had the T-Rex. In the second movie, you had two T-Rexes. Now this one, you got the Spinosaurus. So, but people really loved more of, you know, Jurassic Park. You know, you can't have a Jurassic Park movie without the T-Rex. So, and the Velociraptors. I mean, yeah, it's this, and you know, there's not that much depth in this movie. It's very dark. I mean, the jungle areas on this island is not even on location. It's all scenery. So, and it did feel very fake. I know that there's a scene there where there's one character who's actually urinating into the stream of water, and at the ending of the stream of water, one of the other characters is drinking. I caught that and I brought it up to people's attention. It was like, oh wow, I didn't even know that. No one's ever seen that, and I saw it. I was like, okay, that's just disgusting. But yeah, number 5, Jurassic Park 3. So it came out, did I say it already? Jurassic Park 3 came out in July 16th, 2001, and giving it a 49%. So it's in the middle there. I mean, it's I think it's okay where they kept it at. But yeah, number 5, Jurassic Park 3. Now let's talk about number 4. We are almost there, you guys. Number 4, Planet of the Apes. Nobody likes this movie. I like it. I remember watching this in theaters. I was very excited about it. I remember watching the original with Charleston Heston. And I felt like I needed my own modern day version of what Planet of the Apes is all about. And not only that, it is directed by, at the time, my most personal favorite director, Tim Burton. And this movie came out in July 27th, 2001, and with a 44% on Rotten Tomatoes. I would have given it a higher percentage. I don't really have an accurate percentage come to mind, but I do see that it should have been higher. You got Mark Wahlberg in this, Helena Bonham Carter, the late what's his name, Michael Clark Duncan, and then you get Tim Roth. Tim Roth is just awesome being the villain in this movie. I think that he does a really great job. And you know, you got to admit that these guys, I saw the commentaries, the documentaries as to how they put this movie together. These guys really put a lot of work into making this so realistic. And I have nothing against the other Planet of the Apes movies with Andy Serkis as Caesar. Not a problem with it. I admire the CGI. It's so realistic, but this was so good. I really did love the makeup effects that they put on the actors to make them look like the actual characters, looking like life-size, breathing, talking, standing up straight. You know, these huge humanized apes. And I really did feel like I was living in the world of the Planet of the Apes, and it was a great movie. I really did have a lot of fun with it, but nothing so ever caught my attention but the ending. You know, in the original, we got the Statue of Liberty identifying that this is future Earth under the rule of the apes. But now this one, this ending was just, it blew my mind. I remember at the time, it blew my mind. I got this movie for Christmas in 2001, and when that was the first movie I watched. I popped it in the VCR and I watched it, and I remember rewinding that tape several times at the ending because that ending was huge. It was phenomenal for me. I loved it, even though it didn't make any sense. I did love it. I mean, I remember when I watched this in the theaters, I remember leaving that theater and just like at awe. I was like, whoa. I could not believe what I was watching, but it was great. It was a great movie. I was so disappointed that they never developed a sequel. I would have loved a sequel, but apparently not. But yet we got something better, which is, of course, the Caesar films. So number 4, Planet of the Apes, you guys. So let's talk about number 3. Speaking about having to popping in the video cassette into the VCR and rewinding it several times, I did this a lot also with this movie. At number 3, The Mummy Returns. 1999 gave us an epic, adventurous movie. The Mummy. Oh man, did I love that movie! And not, I mean, it wasn't just me. A lot of people admired that film. I know I mentioned this so many times, but forget. I love Tom Cruise. Oh, he's such a cool guy. I love him. But The Mummy 2017, crumble it up, rip into shreds, just throw it away, set it on fire. Never happened, because this is the true live modern day adaptation of the Mummy story. And we're not talking about either Tomb of the Dragon Emperor in 2008, so that one's just garbage also. It's okay in some aspects, but you know, that's nothing compared to 99's The Mummy and The Mummy Returns 2001. This one came out in May 4th, 2001, giving it a 47%. I didn't like that. I didn't like it. Is it because of the CGI, The Rock at the ending? I mean, it's just, yeah, I know it's a terror. I mean, come on, that was 2001. The CGI is not to date like how we have it nowadays, which is still pretty terrible. But it didn't really bother me. I know that a lot of people, I remember in the theater, a lot of people were disappointed when The Rock, as his giant CGI scorpion, came out. I remember the disappointment of the audiences were like, that's not real. It's so fake. But no, I loved this movie. I loved it. It started off the summer, and I love summer movies, and The Mummy Returns started it off. You know, you got everybody coming back. Brendan Fraser, Rachel Weisz, Arnold Vosloo, Patricia Velasquez. I mean, so many. I mean, Odeo for her. I don't know how to pronounce his name, but yeah, these guys work great together, and I wish that they would have came back. Everybody came back in the third movie. It would have been so spectacular, so adventurous, so epic, but apparently not. The Mummy Returns, man. I remember when I got this on VHS also. I watched it, and then I loved it so much, I rewinded the tape all the way back to the beginning to watch it again. And I remember my brother, he walks into the living room and he calls out to my mom, telling her, "Mom, he's watching it again." That was a great memory. That's what I mean. I love this movie. I did watch it recently as well on HBO Max, and it's just such a remarkable film. I love the story. I love how these characters are just how they all work together very well. The comedic performance is just amazing. You get a lot of laughs in this. You know, it's not a parody. I mean, it's just the comedy. It's just remarkable. I love it, and there's a lot of remembrances that you get in conclusion to what the first film had as well. So a lot of fun with this movie, which is why I have it at my number 3. But there are 2 other huge favorable films that I would love to talk about that I remember and are favored as in the year 2001, 20 years later. So let's go ahead and talk about these last 2, which we're going to start off talking about with number 2. So number 2, we're going to be talking about Vanilla Sky. This one is starring Tom Cruise. I know that a lot of people are not very memorable towards this film. I know that it is a remake, that there is an original version out there, but this movie, the one that captured my attention was the fact that I remember watching the trailer and how this movie carried a lot of mystery, carried a lot of romance, carried a lot of drama into it. And it really grabbed me. It captured me and brought me into the movie. And like I said, this is actually one of my favorite Tom Cruise movies. I love Tom Cruise, and this is one of my most personal favorites. And I love the story. I love to where it goes from what it is in the beginning, going through its entire film, and by the ending of the movie, it's a completely different movie. And it tells you why. It explains why all of these situations that are being included into the story, it's all resolved at the ending. And for me, I absolutely loved it. A lot of people didn't like it because, well, it came out in December 10th, 2001, and they gave it a 42%. I would have loved it a lot better if it went higher also. But 42%, if that's what you guys want to give it, go ahead. But for me, I loved it so much. Tom Cruise, Penelope Cruz. I always thought that they were like related, but of course the spelling of Cruz is completely different. And yeah, so you got all these guys that are in there. I love how everybody works together. I love how it feels like art. It feels like a natural piece of art. You know, when you see those paintings at an art gallery, you know, it's the same thing. It's that same feel. It really does feel like a painting that is evolutionized by the pure emotion of the artiste. And so that's what I love about Vanilla Sky. I really do think that they did a really good job into putting this together. So I loved it. Number 2, Vanilla Sky. So let's go ahead and talk about what's up next. Now don't get me wrong. These top 10 movies, they are my most personal favorite, but that doesn't mean that the other movies that I do not talk about within this list, I don't favor them. Yes, I do favor them, because I mean, I can only count so much up to 10, and I can't really go that far. I can't say, oh, my top 20, my top 30, my top 50. I can't do that. I don't really have the time. But you know, you got so many others that really reminded me of what 2001 was all about. You know, these honorable mentions. You know, even when I mention these, there's going to be so many that really do not that I favored all of them. Believe me when I say it. I really do admire all of them. I love them very much. They're so amazing. Like Jeepers Creepers, The One, American Pie 2, Saving Silverman, Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back, Not Another Teen Movie, Scary Movie 2, Evolution, Shallow Hal, Moulin Rouge, Training Day, Harry Potter, and The Sorcerer's Stone. You would think that would pop up on the list. Pearl Harbor. You also got AI, Artificial Intelligence. You got The Princess Diaries. You got A Beautiful Mind, Ali. There's just so many that you can possibly can come up with. That, you know, you got Dr. Dolittle 2, which is it's okay. But yeah, there's just so many of good movies that were in 2001 that I wish I could have thrown on the list. But these 10 really do identify and bring to mind as to what I felt when I first visualized the true magic of what movies are all about. And I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there to let everybody know that I didn't forget about these movies. They are still wonderful. They're still amazing. I just don't really have the time to talk about every single one of them. Maybe sometime in the possible future. Maybe in the next 20 years. But as of now, I love every single one of the movies that came out in 2001. And I really do wish that even today they would make movies such as awesome as the great movie experiences that I had back when these movies came out in 2001. So let's go ahead and talk of those are my honorable mentions here, you guys. Let's go ahead and talk about what we've been waiting for. Number 1. Finally, at number 1, we're talking about The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Now, just like most movies, like I said, my eyes did not ever open to what movies were all about. I just watched the movies and I loved the movies, and that was it. But what brought me even closer, what gave me pure attachment to what movies were all about, was when I first saw The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. Came out in December 19th, 2001, giving it a 91%. It was that good of a movie. Most people would not really understand as to what this movie is all about, and feel the emotion, feeling the attachment, not just to all the characters within all 3 movies, but just within this in particular film itself alone. You know, you got a full cast going on here. You got Ian McKellen, Elijah Wood, Viggo Mortensen, Liv Tyler, Sean Ashton, Hugo Weaving. You got Christopher Lee. You got Dominic Monaghan, Billy Boyd, Orlando Bloom, John Rhys Davies, Sean Bean, Kate Blanchett. You know, just a whole mess full of of actors in this movie, that every single one of them gets its own individual time and is admired and loved by so many, and including myself. And I'll go ahead and let you guys know this. When I watched this movie in theaters, did not know what I was watching. When I heard Lord of the Rings, I was thinking of like a boxing movie, you know, like the Lord of the Rings, you know. I didn't think about it was an actual ring. I never knew I never knew about it being based off of a book. And those are actually the only books I've ever, besides the Bible, not the complete book, but I remember I read this movie came out when I was in high school too, and I remember reading those books. They had them in the library. They were very, very favorable. Besides Harry Potter, people loved the Lord of the Rings, and I just so wanted to read the books and love them so much, and I did. I mean, I never thought that I would ever read a book, especially when having it being part of a movie that I already know about, but I still read it. The books are so good. I never read The Hobbit, but I remember reading the Lord of the Rings books. So good. But yeah, when I went to watch this in theaters, didn't know what I was watching, and I remember the ending. Well, actually, you know, that really cool sequence that was going on in Moria. You know, when they're trying to get away from this big, gigantic, flammable monster and all the other orcs. You know, it's like that really cool sequence that was going on. Man, it blew my mind. It was like, whoa, you guys got me, and then you get, you know, Gandalf just killing himself by, you know, breaking the bridge and falling in the deep dark pit. I mean, you just, man, it really caught me. It made so much emotion. But yeah, the ending, I didn't know that this was a trilogy. I didn't know it was a planned trilogy. That's something that they actually worked on back to back in 1999. And oh my God, when the ending happened, when the Fellowship breaks apart into several groups, and then that's it, the movie ends. And I'm just like, honestly, that was my reaction, like, so what, like, this movie was so long, and I'm like wondering, is he gonna throw it in the volcano? I mean, what's happening here? What happened? And when I found out, I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. That's what I mean. I didn't know, and I hate that I missed the opportunity, but it was still a great first experience. That it's something that I remember so much that I will never forget throughout my entire life. This is why I do this. This is why I really do. I do this for you guys. I want to share my experiences. I want to talk about, you know, how I felt, what caught me, what really makes me happy, what really, you know, shows my love. I mean, God, man, movies are not just to sit down and watch. They are there to capture you emotionally. I mean, just grab your heart, you know, twist your mind, give you a bunch of laughs. I mean, and this movie really did it for me. I mean, not just this movie, but I mean the entire top 10 and all of the honorable mentions. I mean, 2001 was the year, you guys. It was the year, and I cannot believe it's 20 years later. It's you know, even that right there blows my mind. Whew, yeah, number one, The Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So there you have it there, you guys. That's my top 10 lists of 2001's 20 years later. What did you guys think of my list, you guys? Do you have an in particular list yourselves? If so, feel free. If you have any questions, comments, complaints, or concerns, please leave them down in the comment section at the bottom. Let's have an awesome time talking about these movies, or any movies that you like to talk about in general, because I love to talk about movies, but most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. And don't forget that you can check out some more of my videos. Just look me up at Awesome Joe Movie Reviews on Facebook and on YouTube. Don't forget to click on the like and subscribe button there, you guys. I highly do appreciate everybody having to supporting my channel, because I love to talk about movies so much, and most importantly, I love to talk about them with you. So I'm Awesome Joe, you guys. Thank you guys so much once more again. Keep on living the dream, and as always, stay awesome. Thanks, you guys, once more again, and I'll see y'all in the next video. And happy birthday to me. Bye.